Hey guys, so we're going to begin Genesis 20, Abraham and Abimelech. Hard to say that name. So if you have your Bibles, open them up, but if you don't, you can just read with me on the screen. So here we go. Let me put this first, and now, all right, here we go. So chapter 20, verses 1 through 3. So now Abraham journeyed from there to the south and dwelt between Kadesh and Shur and sojourned among the Gerarites. Then Abraham said of Sarah's wife, "She's my sister," for he was afraid to say, "She's my wife," lest at a given time the men of the city should kill him because of her. Now Abimelech, king of Gerar, sent and took Sarah, but God came to Abimelech in a dream by night and said to him, "Indeed, you're a dead man because of a woman you've taken, for she's a man's wife." So before we start on all this, interestingly, in the mid 14th century BCE, Egypt had a governor of Tyre named Abimelech, which some scholars speculate is connected to Abimelech. However, the truth is we don't know and we can't know exactly who the king of Gerar was. His name is found a lot, and it's a common generic name given to all Philistine kings from Abraham to David. And then another time lapse has occurred here with Abraham, where we are telescoped and given a major part of Abraham's life here. So it's selectively chosen as a significant event for a purpose. So what does it teach us? So from Mamre, Abraham went south and was sojourning around and with the Gerarites. The nomad that he is, he's moved his flock to and around Gerar. I think that's how you say it. And though he's near them, he's not in the city itself. Like he did in Egypt, Abraham does it again where he gets scared and says, "She's Sarah, my sister." And he's scared the men there will try and kill him because of her. And Abimelech, king of Gerar, takes her to be part of his harem. So God comes to him in a dream and gives him a warning. God calls Abraham to trust him, and Abraham struggles the second time to do it again. This is clearly an ongoing struggle for Abraham. God says he'll give him these promises and he'll fulfill them. Abraham should trust God will protect him. If he's going to do it, he's going to fulfill it, then he's got to protect him, right? So Abimelech means my father is king. You may ask, why would he take an 89-year-old woman? And it might not be about looks here, but Abraham's wealth, and if we're going on that she is actually 89, it's not about looks here because it's about Abraham's wealth and potentially merging their families together. And if they offed Abraham, if they killed him, then they would inherit all of his stuff too. So this is another proof that Abraham did not marry Hagar and that she was actually just a concubine. So, sorry, polygamists, on this one anyways. So verse 3, God comes to Abimelech in a dream and says, "You're a dead man because of a woman you took, for she's a man's wife." So God here is more concerned about protecting Sarah than Abraham is. Abraham should be protecting her, and he's failing to do so. So Yahweh tells this pagan king, "You're a dead man for this." All right. And he's protecting Abimelech too, actually, here. So we'll find that out in a minute. But 20 verses 4 through 7. Now Abimelech had not come near her, and he said, "O Lord, will you destroy an ignorant and just nation? Didn't he say to me, 'She's my sister'? And didn't she say to me, 'He's my brother'? I did this thing with a clean heart and righteous hands." God replied to him in a dream, "Yes, I know you did this with a clean heart, and I spared you so that you might not sin against me. Therefore, I didn't allow you to touch her. Now, therefore, restore this man's wife, for he's a prophet, and he'll pray for you and you'll live. But if you don't return her, rest assured you'll die, you and all who are yours." So the irony here is that the pagan king of Gerar here knows that Yahweh is just and righteous and seems, at least here in this part, to have a better sense of morality than our prophet Abraham does. So the dream with God continues, and God tells him, "I didn't let you touch her," when Abimelech says he hadn't touched her yet. So did God physically stop him here? No. But it isn't just happenstance that he didn't get that far, right? So God didn't kill him because he was tricked, and it was unfair. God tells him to turn Sarah to Abraham, or else Gerar will be destroyed like Sodom and Gomorrah were. So God's fair here. God does good to King Abimelech here. because this is unjust. Like what Abraham has done to him is unjust, right? So God actually protects Abimelech too with this. So I think that's pretty just and fair, if you ask me. So, verses 8 through 13. So Abimelech rose early in the morning, called all his servants, and told them all the things in their hearing. And the men were very much scared. Then Abimelech called Abraham and said to him, "What have you done to us? How have I offended you? That you've brought on me and all my kingdom a great sin. You've done deeds to me that shouldn't be done." Again, Abimelech said to Abraham, "What possessed you to do this thing?" Abraham replied, "Because I thought, surely the worship of God isn't in this place, and they'll kill me on account of my wife. But indeed, she's truly my sister. She's the daughter of my father, but not of my mother, and she became my wife. So it came to pass when God caused me to wander from my father's house, I said to her, 'This righteousness shall you do for me. In every place we enter, say of me, He's my brother.' So early morning, Abimelech has called his servants and tells them about a God appearing in a dream to him. And the men get terrified that they could all die if Sarah isn't returned. So you notice now God has solved the problem for Abraham here. Abraham's fear of death has caused him to sin against Abimelech. And now these people are so scared of him, they're not going to do it, right? Like if there was any chance that they would, they're not doing it now. They're too scared of him. They're too scared of Yahweh and Abraham. So Abimelech calls Abraham to him and confronts him. He says, "What have you done to us? What did I ever do to sin against for you to sin against me like this?" And Abraham responds with an excuse when Abimelech asks, "What possessed or took hold of you to do the sin against me and my kingdom?" That is an interesting phrase there that says, "What spirit took hold of you?" Because he's actually asking, like, what spirit took hold of you? We could talk all about this, but the way that we perceive thoughts today, and compared to how they perceive you seeing thought, like perceive thoughts, it's very interesting. Um, that spirits are actually possessing you and uh, make giving you certain things that you're thinking, right? That's kind of the context here, but we might have to talk about that another day. So Abraham replies, "I thought you were godless pagans, so I thought you were bad people." And then he goes, "Well, technically I didn't lie because she's my half sister, but we're married." So it looks like Abimelech is definitely listening more to God here than Abraham is in this story. So verse 13, Abraham next blames God for bringing him here. And this kind of reminds us of Genesis 3. And he says he's done this crazy idea more than once, telling people Sarah is his sister versus telling them that she's his wife. So Abimelech, verse 14 through 18. So Abimelech took 1,000 pieces of silver, sheep, oxen, and male and female servants, and gave them to Abraham. And he restored Sarah his wife to him. Thus Abimelech said to Abraham, "See, my land is before you. Dwell where it pleases you." Then to Sarah he said, "Behold, I've given your brother 1,000 pieces of silver, which will vindicate your honor before all those with you. But tell the truth in all things." So Abraham prayed to God, and God healed Abimelech, his wife, and his female servants. Then they bore children, for the Lord had closed up all the wombs of the house of Abimelech because of Sarah, Abraham's wife. So Abimelech gives Abraham 1,000 pieces of silver, sheep, oxen, and male and female servants, and restores Sarah, his wife, to him. He gives him full permission to dwell where it pleases him on the land. And then these Gerarite male servants will have to be circumcised to be made part of Abraham's covenant. So we have another instance here where Gentiles are becoming part of the covenant of Abraham. So there you go, some Gerarites. So Abimelech then tells Sarah he gave the silver to them, so her honor is vindicated. And then he tells her to tell the truth in all things. So there's the rebuke. He says, "Stop lying and lying for him." We're showing this episode what happened over a good amount of time in the story, because it didn't all happen in one day, but over time, right? Because he had two dreams. You know, it tells it over time. If you go read it, it does. So we're shown that because it says God healed Abimelech, his wife, and his female servants, they were all having infertility issues. So Sarah gets straightened out while Abraham's still a work in progress. And we should be reminded that Abraham is still a picture of us for a prototypical saint. So the point being, if he can be a saint, we can become one too, right? We can become one too. So that is going to be all of Genesis 20 tonight. And hold on here. So yeah, that's just going to be all of that tonight. And next up, we're going to be doing Genesis 21. So if you like that, uh, hit like, subscribe, and thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. God bless. See you next time.